saw a bunch of comments.
Thank you.
You slayed. Everybody is really, happy and impressed, and I'm sure they have questions. So I want to invite you to maybe stick around a little longer if
Yeah,
you want to,
sure, absolutely.
be
I'd
with
love
our friends here in
questions.
the
Yes,
chat.
thank you.
I'm gonna actually go with our next speaker for the sake of time. So let me go find my friend Jake. So while I find Jake Shannon, he's coached thousands. No, that's Wayne. Wayne, I'm gonna stop your video. My Jake invented the maze bell. That's one of the modern fitness maze movements. I remember when he was telling me about it. This was incredible. If you have time, go look it up. He revived an entire combat sport in martial arts, scientific wrestling, and he's been mentioned on the Joe Rogan multiple times. Has authored more than a dozen books. He's a proud husband and a father of three, and it's always been awesome to see his little ones growing. Good friend of mine, Jake. Let's bring you in camera. Stop video. All right, now it's you and me, brother. Thank you so much for being part of this. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, man, this is awesome, dude. This is super cool. And man, Miriam, that was cool, man. You got some big cojones there, posting all that stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, somebody was saying that Miriam has angels protecting her because this is pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah, it's super heavy. I mean, I felt my own anxiety, like just listening to the whole thing. I'm like, oh, dude, I might have to go do some meditation after this, man. It's making me nervous.
I'll let you hear with all our friends from Anarchovid.
Yeah, guys. Hey, thanks for having me. I wanted to, maybe is it going to change the tone a little bit. So I hope that I have permission to maybe not be so heavy and maybe change the tone just a little bit. And that was great, Miriam. I really appreciate it. But I want to talk a little bit about, for those of us that love freedom, right? The key to happiness is freedom, and the key to freedom is courage. That's Thucydides, right? The old Greek. And it does take courage, but also, like one thing, I'm getting up there. I've been a libertarian for a long time. I'll be 50 this year. And one of the things that I found that seems to be true about life is that whatever you focus on, you get more of, right? And this is something that I've seen plague kind of the liberty movement a lot. We are really focused on corruption. And so, what you look for is what you find, right? And then we wonder why, sometimes we aren't feeling fulfilled or we're not getting what we need out of our life. I think it's important to keep people honest and to share information and all that kind of stuff. But I also think that it's important that we focus on the things I believe that will that do bring peace and freedom. And sometimes that's not focusing on the corruption. I know that might sound counterintuitive, especially maybe just in the young people, but I do think that maybe focusing on personal development, professional development, learning how to become more valuable, and making more money, man. We need to stop being ashamed of money. I know that a lot of people in the anarchist and libertarian movement give lip service to capitalism, but I don't see enough people being wealthy. And I don't mean these people who got rich through crypto accidentally and now the money's gone again, right? I'm talking about really entrepreneurship, small business, personal development, making yourself more valuable. So, we all know what lockdowns, what they did to the world. It was devastating, right? We know that 37% of small businesses, there's 37.5% fewer businesses after lockdown than prior. I mean, it was like a nuke, right? And these are mom and pops, people that were not considered essential or whatever, but they were doing the same thing as the big Walmarts and all those guys. So what can we do if we don't want to go work for government, if we don't want to go and be part of a corporation that does rent seeking, that is a big corporation because it's gotten special favor from government and whatnot. So that's really what I want to talk about. So the title of this talk is post-COVID Carpe Diem. So those of you who ever saw the Dead Poet Society, probably that's what made that phrase the most famous. And it's tied etymologically, meaning the history and the meaning of the word, to harvest. So I thought it was relevant for the topic. Now, 25 years ago, I was 24 years old. I was working 3, sometimes 4 jobs, minimum wage. I came up blue collar. None of my parents went to college, and shit, I was working those 3 or 4 jobs and still going into debt. Now, this was my life and my choices. I had moved to a very expensive city, San Francisco, still super expensive, ridiculous. And I decided I didn't have any job skills or connections. And so I was working 3 or 4 crappy jobs, retail, minimum wage, and barely making it. I was still going into debt to have to survive. And, I was already libertarian by that time, right? So I was.
Is this you sharing the screen?
That's not me.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries. So, we're talking the early 90s, I was already a libertarian. And, I knew, because I was libertarian, I knew the American dream was doable. I wasn't one of these pessimists. I wasn't one of these socialists. I wasn't a commie. I knew that the American dream is truly possible, and it doesn't have to come through corruption. You don't have to do it the wrong way. You can truly create wealth for you and your family and your friends, true abundance, generational wealth. Because we did live in a free country, and we still, believe it or not, as much freedoms that have been eroded, we still have a lot of freedom, more so than any other place on the planet, in a lot of ways, with regards to business and hustling, to make money and lift ourselves up. And if you don't think, I'm one of those people that, man, I don't think money necessarily makes you happy, but it does buy you options, and options is freedom, and I don't mean financial options or derivatives. I mean different choices. You have more choices when you have more money. So I do want to talk today about some things that I believe are important, especially for people in the liberty movement. I think sometimes we get very focused on, I don't want to say negative, but I want to say, like, we're not focused on actually creating wealth, helping each other, building each other up, and building our networks and making money, right? Real money through trade, through value. And that's what I wanted to talk today about. So, I'm 24, I'm living in San Francisco, and I am dirt poor. I had one thing that I did for myself as self-care, or whatever they call it these days. I was working at a used bookstore, and I had a half hour for lunch, and across the street was this hole in the wall Chinese food place, and they had a $2 lunch special, and I would go over there, and that was my big deal, right? Now, I had no money. I'm like in my 20s. I had aspirations of having a family. I do have now. I have 3 healthy, fabulous children. I've been married for 17 years. Me and my wife run our business together. And I have multiple other business ventures going. Now, the thing is back then I had none of that, and I couldn't afford any of that. There's no way responsibly I could have 3 kids back then, when I was going into debt, just myself living. So I go over to this Chinese food place. I got a half hour, and I go and I rush across the street, stand in line, get my $2 lunch box, go back, the white, those little white takeout boxes that you get Chinese in. I go back up to the break room, and I am literally just wolfing that food down. And all of a sudden I start looking down in my box, and in the box there's more dead cockroach parts in the box than there are chicken. I got Kung Pao chicken, and they should have called it Kung Pao cockroach. And I'm sitting there looking at this box, and this is how poor I was, but this was a pivotal moment. I looked in that box, and I actually picked out the carcasses that were remaining that I hadn't already eaten, and finished the food. That's how poor I was. And the rest of the day, it really stuck in my craw. I was like, dude, this is not acceptable. I was disgusted with myself. I'm sure everybody on this, if you're honest, you guys have all had a moment when you're just disgusted with yourself. Maybe you've let yourself get too fat, maybe, whatever. But it was a pivotal moment for me. It changed my life, that absolute disgust, because I realized that I deserved more, right? So that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit today, right? If it's okay with you, I'd like to maybe play a little bit of mentor or a coach here. I didn't have any wealthy mentors or successful in terms of impact people in my life. I just was kind of a lot of it making it up as I went and trial and error. And so if it's okay, I'd like to maybe share some concepts that I think every single person can use and benefit upon. Simply mindset stuff and kind of come to Jesus stuff that and that's not religious, but come to Buddha, whoever the hell you're into. But things that I think can really help people, particularly in the liberty movement, and get us focused on wealth and abundance as much as we are focused on corruption and justice and things that are important. But I think we might be neglecting the other things, especially in a time like today, where it is hard to make money and it is hard to get ahead and it is hard to actually create wealth and things of that nature. So, this post-COVID is the first time since 1998 that extreme poverty has increased. This is a direct result of bureaucrats and politicians, right? And as libertarians, we're already wise to it. I saw it coming at the beginning. I was one of the first people, I think, Luis, you could testify to this, that I was posting this is bullshit from the very beginning. But guess what? It didn't do a fucking thing. It didn't do a goddamn thing. I could be the smartest guy in the world, and I don't have power. I don't have wealth. I'm a normal dude, right? Like, I don't have like Klaus Schwab level fucking power or anything like that. Okay. So I could see it coming, and all I could do was really prepare. And bitching and moaning about it wasn't going to do anything. In fact, it just pissed off all the people that were, still open to the propaganda or the news, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But they were still, there's nothing you could do. But what you can do is you can succeed. I want you guys to understand that, more millionaires were created during the Great Depression than any other time in history. Let that sink in for just a second. You have to understand, more millionaires were created during the Great Depression than any other time in history. Why is that? Okay, I'm not looking for the tin hat stuff. And trust me, I'm a Discordian, man. I'll go deeper on this conspiracy shit than anybody. But I'm trying to be, for any of you guys know what Discordianism is. What I'm saying is that the economy is not your economy. Just because if you're listening to the news and you're accepting that bullshit as your base assumption in your belief system, you're going to go in the shitter with everybody. Instead, you can fight, and you can fight and become wealthy like those millionaires during the Great Depression. Okay. So in the next 20 minutes or so, I'd like to show you what I think are 12 super easy, maybe not so commonsensical as I'd like them to be, and maybe things that either you guys could take on or share with people in your lives that are not having any kind of success. Okay. So 12 easy ways that when they're done right can really, really, really change things for you. In fact, I do a lot of beyond entrepreneurship and stuff in fitness, like Luis was saying. I coach people on trying to help them. In fact, I have a client, his name is Ben. He is an anarcho-capitalist. I've known him for probably 10 years, but we, as friends, but he hired me as a coach in the last year. Now, I just want to read this real quick. Okay. What Ben said was, since starting working with Jake, my family's income has more than doubled. Jake has been invaluable in helping me come up with business ideas that fit my strengths and interests. He's also great at keeping me on task, even when I'm very busy. Jake's a top-notch mentor, and I wouldn't be where I am without him. I'm not saying that to put me over. Okay. What I'm saying is that this is a shit economy. And this guy doubled his family's income. Okay. Just because basically these ideas, what I'm going to call the post-COVID Carpe Diem, does it really, really fast. Okay. So that doesn't mean you have to hire me or any of that kind of crap. This is when they're implemented correctly, and these are simple. Okay. But they're deceptively simple. These are really powerful. And I really do hope maybe you jot some of these ideas down. Okay. The first thing is you sometimes have to get disgusted with yourself. You have to get disgusted with yourself. You have to get real. You have to have that conversation. You know, that Michael Jackson song, that old one, Man in the Mirror. You got to look at yourself and you got to get real about shit. Enough bullshit, enough excuses, enough blaming the government, enough blaming your mom and dad, enough blaming XYZ. There are assholes out there, okay? But some people don't let it stop them and other people do. I'm suggesting you be in the former category, okay? Get real. Get real with what the situation is. You don't have any fucking power over it. You can bitch and moan and post all you want. That's not going to feed your babies. That's not going to create generational wealth. That's not going to get you the kind of attorneys and accountants that help you not have to pay taxes. Okay. What is going to is being real and get honest. Okay. So that's the first thing. And a lot of times that doesn't happen until people really hit rock bottom. A lot of times people have to hit rock bottom before they start making these changes. Okay. So that's the first one. The second one, you have to be able to get freaking honest. But number two, you have to be obsessed. Okay. We live in a world, great libertarian thinker. I was lucky to give him his last in-depth interview when I had a radio show a number of years ago, Thomas Zaz. If you guys are libertarians, you don't know him. This guy called all of this. He had a book called The Pharmocracy. He called this shit decades ago, stood up as a lone man fighting against all of psychiatry. Brilliant guy, brilliant libertarian, Thomas Zaz. I highly recommend you guys look him up. But you have to get obsessed. The reason I bring that up is that the idea of obsession has been pathologized by psychiatry and psychologists. Like it's a fucking bad thing. It's not. After you do step one, get fucking real, get disgusted, hit rock bottom, whatever, change what you're fucking doing. Two, you've got to get obsessed about something. You've got to care. Great. If it's liberty, okay, cool. But try to think about how you can actually provide value. When something is truly valuable, people give you money for it. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. So get obsessed. That's by obsession. That's maybe a controversial term. Let's use a different term. Single-minded focus. Don't get distracted by your cell phone, by fucking Pornhub, by all this bullshit, by conspiracy theories, by all this stuff that's not going to actually affect you. Okay. Let's just get real. A long time ago, I wrote a book in 2009 called Anomaly, looking at unusual circumstances and using that to build your life. Politics is pro wrestling. That's assumed. Great. Now what? Go make some money. Go become wealthy. Go get your kids what they want for Christmas. Like work hard, fight by becoming wealthy. Okay. It's a duty, especially for those of us in the liberty movement, right? We used to be these pro-capitalists, and I'm not saying corporatist, I'm saying business, right? So you've got to get real, you've got to get focused and obsessed, okay? The next one is you've got to take risks. Like I said with Thucydides at the beginning there, the secret to happiness is freedom, but the secret to freedom is courage. You don't take dumb risks, take calculated risks. The public school system, government schools, right? Bullshit. The worst thing you can do, this should give you a clue. What is the worst thing? The government wants you to think the worst thing you can do is fail. That's stupid. That's one of the best things you can do as long as you learn from your failures. That's the basis of all true knowledge, is learning through your mistakes. Everything else is just memorization of other people's bullshit. Okay? So get real, hit rock bottom, get disgusted, whatever, change what you're doing and be serious about it. Second thing, get obsessed, get that single-minded focus. Third, take those risks. It's actually riskier not to take risks. I was in a room with a bunch of billionaires last year, GrowthCon. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. Grant Cardone runs it. Almost every single one of those guys that really blew up big. Tillman Fertitta, like he's got like $7 or $8 billion through restaurants. Okay. All of them said it's more of a risk to not take risks. Okay. So don't be afraid of failure. Learn, right? Another mentor of mine, a brilliant guy, Brandon Dawson, says the only emotion that belongs in business is the emotion of celebration. That means just learning other than wins. That's how you grow. Okay. That's sports, that's business, anything. Okay. The fourth thing is tremendous effort. Okay. You're not going to do it by being lazy. Okay. I'm just telling you, man. And I hate to see it, but a lot of people are really lazy. And this might go back to that get real, hit rock bottom. You know, like it's going to probably take 10 times more effort than what you expect. And you need to do it. You need to do it. You just got to put your nose down and grind. That's how a marathon is won. One step at a time, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Okay. So next thing you got to keep in mind is that people are money. Okay. Any of you old enough to remember that movie Soylent Green? It was like, oh, it's people. Let me tell you something. You could be a billionaire, but you get thrown on a deserted island, that money's useless. It's people. People are money. What I'm trying to get across to you is stop being a fucking basement dwelling neckbeard if you're one of those libertarians. Get out. Don't be the guy that nobody wants to have at the party because all you talk about is negative shit and ruin everybody's day. You're not fun. You need to go and you need to meet as many people and help them as you can. And I'm not talking like help wake them up and all this shit. I'm talking provide them a service, help them with their kids, with their life, improve their life, improve it tangibly, maybe hopefully like with money or something that actually will change things for them. Okay. The next thing is you need to be ruthlessly consistent. Okay. Once you start getting your shit together, right? We're on 0.6 right now. And I'll maybe try to throw this in the chat real quick when we're done. I'm just trying to burn through this because I only got 35 minutes, man. And I'm a bullshitter. I used to have a radio show. I go for 2 hours. So when I get going, man, I'm going. Now, ruthlessly consistent. You need to do what it takes over and over and over again. And when you get bored, right? Do it again. And when you got excuses, do it anyway. Okay. Ruthless consistency. The next thing you got to do is you got to train with resistance. This is the same when you start working out as, let's say, I train people in sales, like big corporate companies and these salespeople. They're the lifeblood of the company. If revenue doesn't come in, I don't care how many costs you cut or whatever, it don't matter. There's no money. So there's no profit, right? So when I'm training these people, we'll do role play and I have them role play through objections, resistance. Okay, good. Here's your product. You got to sell it. And then I'll have the people role play through objections. They don't want to, I got to talk to my wife for all the bullshit that everybody hears, right? Same thing with weight or with exercise. I need to work with resistance to grow, to become stronger. Okay. So you need to train with resistance, right? Okay. The next is you need to master timing and balance. And when I say this, timing is subtle. Okay. This comes as you start mastering things. This list that I'm giving you, it's like in order. You have to start there and then progress through these. Timing takes a while. Okay. You got to know when to say the right thing. And you got to fuck up a whole bunch of times before you learn that. And you got to be willing to fuck up and stand up and do it again. Consistency. Do you understand how all this flows into each other? I hope this is okay for you. I know I'm kind of fire hosing you guys, making you drink from a fire hose. And balance, when I'm talking balance, I'm not talking work-life balance. That's bullshit. What I'm really meaning is integration. You can't you need to integrate. So for example, I have 3 companies, 3 kids, a marriage And I even have my mom living with us. Okay. I have a very busy life. I wouldn't be able to do that if they were all separate and compartmentalized. I've integrated them all. I work with my wife. We travel on business and turn it into vacation. Now I'm actually using my time in the right way. Okay. So timing and balance, but by balance, I don't mean like the typical, I mean integration, if that makes any sense. You've got to integrate. The other thing is the next step, number 9, is you need to practice and drill at the level at which you want to perform. So if this were sports, if you want to run a 5-minute mile, you have to practice for the race at that pace. Okay. If you are in a fight like MMA, you've got to train with these people at a high level, because otherwise you're going to go in there and you're not going to be prepared, because the drilling is going to get you ready there. Okay. Number 10, you've got to be willing to adapt, and you've got to be willing to improvise. Okay. You've got to take new information in. This is the failure part. You've got to learn from the information and adapt quickly. And you've got to be able to improvise and be creative on the fly. That's because you take what you're doing seriously. Do you understand? Thanks, Gabriel. I appreciate that, man. So number 11, and notice this is at the end of the list. I'm giving you a list of 12. This is at the end of the list. Healthy celebration and rest are crucial. So yeah, it's going to take tremendous effort, probably 10 times more than what you expected. Do it fucking anyway. Okay. I just shut up. Enough excuses. That ain't going to get you. You can either get results, you can either make things happen, or you can make excuses. You can't do both. Okay. And you have to be honest with yourself. All self-esteem, all respect is earned. Do you respect somebody if they lie to you or bullshit you or whatever? No, of course not. Or steal from you or, you know, feed you a line of shit. No, but guess what? You don't respect yourself when you do that to yourself. That's integrity. That's discipline. Do it anyway. All right. But healthy, notice I said healthy celebration. There's sometimes in the liberty movement, because we allow for freedom, doesn't necessarily mean that we're libertine. And Luis will tell you, man, I have no problem, man. I'm a Discordian. Like, I have no problem or moral hangups on any of this stuff. I do believe you own your own body and you should be able to, but you also have a responsibility to yourself to be healthy. And I think that is a function of self-esteem, and you can't bullshit yourself. Okay. I'm talking excessive drugs, excessive drinking, excessive sex. I'm a Discordian. I'm not Christian. Like like you, if you know what I'm talking about, I'm saying this from a functional, practical standpoint. I'm not saying don't have sex, don't do drugs, don't drink. I'm saying you have to be very, very critical and careful not to do them in a way that fuck you up. So I'm saying healthy celebration. Healthy celebrate. What's a healthy celebration? Go on a vacation because you're making more money and you can actually afford it and take people with you. That's healthy celebration. Self-care, spotting. I mean, I don't have to tell you this. You're not stupid. You know what healthy means, and you know when you're bullshitting yourself about it. Okay. And rest. Rest is crucial, man. You know, I get a lot done. Like, if you actually look at my resume, it's sometimes I have to pinch myself. Like, holy fuck, dude, you're crazy. I'm not worried. Some people ask me, man, are you like, what do you sleep like 4 hours a day? No, dude, I sleep like 7-8 hours every day. I go to bed early. I'm not sitting there fucking around on Netflix and all that. I mean, sometimes I will. Sometimes to fall asleep, though. I'm not going to fucking start streaming and stay up till fucking 11, midnight, 1, 2, because I got to get up in the morning. I got to exercise. I got to eat right. I got to do the things that are right because I want to respect myself. Think about the people you hold into high esteem you think are fucking cool, right? You respect them. Now, actually look at what they fucking do with their day. It's a lot of work, probably. Okay. And if you don't have that same respect for yourself, you might want to look in the mirror and go back to step 1 and get real. Okay. Now, the last step of this 12 post-COVID Carpe Diem dozen, step 12 is do it anyway. Doesn't matter. Whatever the bullshit, whatever the excuse, do it anyway. You need to set yourself big fucking goals, big goals. And when I say big, I mean, the way I test if a goal is big enough for me is if I'm embarrassed to actually share it. That tells me, okay, that's probably big enough because it's not a slam dunk and I'm really going to have to work hard on it. So I don't know if that's helping you guys, right? If I can help you with any of this stuff, or if this helped you guys anyway, you can always, probably the easiest way to reach out to me. I don't know what access they have, Luis, but you can hit me up on Instagram, DM me at, it's just at Ask Coach Jake on Instagram, at Ask Coach Jake on Instagram. DM me, follow me, whatever. I love this shit, dude. I love helping people because I love people. And, when you study like psychopathy and all that bullshit, only 1 out of 100 people are bad. Okay. Now it changes when you look at politicians and CEOs, it's 25%, 1 out of 4. But in the general population, psychopaths spontaneously emerge only 1 out of 100. That means there's 99 amazing people. And sometimes they've been fed a bunch of bullshit, not the right stuff. Right. I can remember I'm coming up and they were telling me I had to do the times tables and shit. My math teacher would be like, well, you're not going to have a calculator in your fucking pocket when you get, I'm like, motherfucker, I got all the world's wisdom in my pocket now. Like, I don't need all that bullshit. This is the kind of shit that helps people. Like, you got to learn how to build. You got to learn how to create. You got to learn how to network. You got to understand that people are money. You got to stop being antisocial. You got to be somebody people want to fucking hang out with. And that takes personal development. You're not just born that way. It takes a lot of work and a lot of money and a lot of risk and a lot of failure. Okay. So take charge of your focus. Stop focusing on all this negativity. I guarantee you, if you study history, I've written a lot of books, a lot of historical books. The history of humankind, largely, unfortunately, is the history of masters and slaves. You're not telling anybody anything new. You're not waking the world up. Okay. Alex Jones got that fucking covered. He's already been sued for $1 trillion. Let him handle it. Okay. Why don't you go fucking make some money? Why don't you create something that's valuable for your family? Why don't you buy your kids every fucking thing that they wanted for Christmas? How good would that make you feel? And I'm saying, get rid of this middle-class poverty mindset that's been programmed into you through government schools. You have a duty, a birthright to be successful. Okay? You only have limited time. The only resource that's finite truly is time. So take charge of your focus. Spend your time focusing on things that create value. All right. Now, the reason I brought up my client, Ben, is really the reason I do this. Again, Ben is part of the community. He's an anarcho-capitalist, libertarian. That's how I met him originally 10 years ago. Ben, he's followed me for years, just in the same way that I've been friends with Luis for years. And, he finally bit the bullet and paid a lot of money to work with me. Okay. Now, and he was not in a great place. He was working as like a delivery driver for like FedEx or UPS, has 4 kids, the youngest of which has Down syndrome. Okay. Struggling, working like all day only to come home. And his poor wife is frazzled from having the kids all day. And he's got to help with the kids now because she's frazzled. And there's just barely he can buy. Okay. And you know what he did? He cashed out his crypto, a big chunk of crypto, and paid me. Okay. Now I'm not telling you to hire me. I'm saying you probably need a mentor. You don't even want to know how much I've spent on mentors and personal development. Okay. It's this last year was close to $250,000. It's a lot of money, but it has the highest return. Okay. That money, I told you earlier, I doubled his income and his family income in a year. His crypto wasn't going to fucking do that. Sorry. I know how all you guys love that shit, but you're jerking off. That's not going to do it. This list of 12 things, that's going to do it. And not only did we double his family's income, now they're closing down a house, the first house that they've ever had. And Ben also wrote a book. I highly recommend it. You guys go check it out. We got him to write his first book. It's called Upside of Downs. How fucking clever is that? We turned the liability of his youngest having Down syndrome and the challenges that was for his family into an actual asset. The Upside of Downs. Go, it's on Amazon. He just published it. Great book. So in the span of a year, by following these things and having me basically on his ass, so when the habitual excuses or whatever came up, I was like, let's go. Let's go, dude. Just like a coach trying to get you to win a championship. It's the same thing. Winning is winning. Okay. And in that year, he has now a house. He's actually stopped throwing his money away on fucking rent. You might as well just wipe your ass with that money. It's no good. With equity now, he's owning a house. He's got a book. He's got a product and building a side hustle. And he also doubled his income at his job. Okay. I'm the coach. I'm not the athlete. He did all the work, but I told him what to do. Mm-hmm. And you need to find people like that. The way that we learn is broken. Okay. You're not going to get it off of a YouTube dude. You get what you pay for. If it's free, it's probably shit. I'm just telling you guys, like, this is just facts. If it rubs you wrong, I'm sorry. I'm trying to help you, honestly. Right? Like, I don't know if it's tough love or maybe you've had real harder love than that, but I'm just being real. Okay. So guys, I appreciate your time. You know, I wanted to leave a little bit of time at the end. If there's any questions or anything or whatnot, and if not, I could cede it to the other speakers because I know that there's a lot of questions for that. But I really appreciate your time, guys. If I can help you, just get me out on Instagram. You could then from there find all my other shit if it's an interest. At Ask Coach Jake. Thanks, Luis.
Jake, thank you so much. Somebody said in the comments, well, ending the day's presentation with a serious bang. So happy I checked my email this morning and I was reminded that this was happening today. Thank you, everyone. This dude was so fire, straight fire. Thank you so much. And I know you're so busy, so also thank you for making time to be here with us and being so generous with everything you shared.
Oh, listen, man, and I podcast. I try to make like an hour a day. Sometimes I can't do it, honestly, because of my schedule. I mean, last year alone, I had 30 flights. I mean, there's only 52 weeks in a year, and I did 30 round trip flights. So with the businesses and family, I really do take my family very, very seriously. This is the other thing. You know, what I love about small business and entrepreneurship is it's allowed me to actually spend an enormous amount of time with my family.
Yep.
Like unbelievable amount of time and build real wealth, build assets that I own, not build somebody else's dream.
3,000% agreed. I'm really honored, that I've been friends with you for probably a good decade. So
yeah, it's been that long, dude.
Yeah. So if you guys like Jake, please follow him on Facebook, on Instagram, everywhere. He just mentioned his website. Can you repeat it so they can?
Oh yeah, it's easy. Like, so my whole brand is called Number One, but it's kind of a play on words, right? Because I want to take people from being no one to number one.
Discordian. That's pretty clever, dude.
Yeah, and you guys, by the way, I dropped some names out there that like I'm an old dude in this movement, and there's some really great thinkers, and I think people get absorbed with like the Murray Rothbard shit. Okay, it's cool, but you need to like branch out a little bit. Get into Thomas Zaz, get into Robert Anton Wilson, get into these other thinkers, dude. It's important for you. It's important for you that are hardcore libertarians and have fantastic ideas. Harry Brown, How I Found Freedom in an Unfree World, fantastic book.
Dude, that's like a $400 book, right?
I think you can get, it's out of print. So it's like, but you can get the digital copy cheap. I just found it online a couple years ago, like PDF you can buy cheap.
Dude, that's awesome. Well, thank you.
And for some of you guys that can't afford expensive mentors, like where I've worked myself up to, books are your best friend. Dude, books are like the greatest fucking thing ever designed in human history. I can have a conversation, although it's one way, but you can't learn unless you're listening. You don't learn while you're talking. So it's a one-way conversation with the greatest fucking thinkers in all of human history, man. You can man, reading is where it's at, and use that to get the knowledge you need to get the money to get with people who have the information now. The information that is actionable, that can like I did with Ben, double his income in a year dude, we're going to 10x his income by the time we're done. 10 times from when we started.
Wow. I love that. I love it. Thank you again. You know, you don't have to leave. Stick around if you want to just watch the final segment.
Yeah, heck yeah. And
We'd
I
love to have
appreciate you, man. I love this, and I love this community. I love this community. I just hate to see all you guys focused on the negative conspiracy shit, because I went there, dude. It's dark. It's just gonna fuck your life up.
Yeah, yeah. It's such a dark place. Like it feels like there is no way out. So,
Dude, it's been that way for all human history. We live in the greatest time of fucking human history, and everybody is all depressed and bummed out. Like somehow you were supposed to have this world without dicks. Like it's been that way for bajillion years. In fact, the dicks like we're fucking killing people. Like it's just they have to be secretive about it now. Like but it's out there. So you guys are all freaked out for something that's been going on for the whole of human history. Instead, figure out how to be happy and make a fuck ton of money and go do some cool shit, and then get so wealthy that you could be a philanthropist and be a good philanthropist. Don't be Bill Gates trying to depopulate the world and fuck underage children on an island. Make $1 billion and try to fucking like really create like a liberty haven, like what Berwick's doing. Like there's great things that can be done, but a lot of it has to do with your attention.
all of it, all of it. I mean, perception is reality. So, for the sake of time, I'm gonna go with the ladies. Thank you so much again for being with us, and I'm happy that you're part of this event. You know, I had Kat telling me that we should bring you again to our next one. So I'll keep you posted if you're willing and able.
Yeah, man. Listen, don't drink your coffee when I come on, man. I'll give you a heart attack. You're gonna want to be on decaf before I get on.
I've been taking my best damn kratom throughout the day, dude.
Oh yeah, do the kratom, dude. There we go.
Thank you, Jake. All right, so we are at the final part, Conversations in Anarchy. I get Lily and I get Lexi. So, thoughts, what did you think? What was something that really hit you from the day?
Should I go first?
Sure.
All right. Well, realistically, I mostly tuned in for this last thing, and I had no idea who this Jake Shannon guy was before we started, but we need more of him. That's what I've got to say. We need more of him.
Yeah. What do you think, Lexi?
I'm very excited about Brent Kaufman's charity project with the Marsh Children's Home down in Bonneville and what they're doing with the hydroponic systems, and Spike Cohen as well. Always a fan of him. So
Yes, really awesome people. Do you want me to play the butterfly video now? Is this a good moment?
yes, please play the ad for Mariposa Freedom Festival.
And I am on Brave. Let's see, optimize video clip, share.
We are excited to announce a new event, Mariposa Freedom Festival, taking place November 25th through 27th in Puerto Vallarta. 2 nights of camping, fiestas, live music and DJs, and 2 days of liberty-focused speakers and workshops. Tickets are on sale now at mariposafreedomfest.com. Use the code Anarchopulco at checkout for 10% off general admission. Hope to see you there.
Sweet. Tell us a little bit about the event, if you don't mind.
So it is happening in Puerto Vallarta this upcoming weekend, November 25th through 27th. It is happening at a campground called Rancho Madre Tierra, and we are running the stage on solar power. We have 2 full days of liberty-focused speakers and workshops. Kat is going to be speaking. Chad Schwartz will be speaking, and Danny Sessoms will also be speaking. So several current and previous Anarchopulco speakers will be in attendance, and we've also got live music, ecstatic dance, a cacao ceremony. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic weekend. I am so excited.
That is so cool. So super exciting. So where can people find tickets for this again?
They can go to mariposafreedomfest.com, and tickets are only $30. for the entire weekend. And if you use code Anarchopulco, that'll get you 10% off.
Perfect. Thank you. So anything else that grabbed your eye, Lily?
Well, to be honest, I was really kind of busy doing some other things through a lot of today, and I'm gonna have to catch the replay, which I'm actually really looking forward to. I'll be producing that over the next few days once I get the download for all of this. But yeah, I was just really impressed with what Jake Shannon was saying, especially about a lot of people being stuck too much in the negative cycles. There are too many people out there barking in echo chambers like angry dogs instead of actually like building what they would rather see. I think we need more builders in this world. I think we need more people getting shit done instead of just complaining about things. Because I mean, there is some value to complaining about things, but that doesn't change the world into what we want to see. And yeah, I don't know if he knows about agorism, but he's kind of an agorist.
Yeah, he's all about freedom. I really have liked his message for, you know, a good decade. So Lexi, anything else you want to add here?
Just come to the event this weekend if you're in Mexico, or if you can catch a flight. Like I said, venue's at the campground, but it is also only 15 minutes from the PV airport with lots of lodging around, and see you there.
So excited. So everybody who was, you know, we had an average of 100 people throughout the whole